This is Searching for Truth. I just wanted to do a video on the hurricane. I don't know about you guys, but it just doesn't seem right to see a gigantic storm every year. You might have seen one, I don't know, once every 5 to 10 years or something, and now we see one just about every year, and there's a reason that we're seeing that. One of the doctors, he's a famous scientist. He's a Dr. Miko Kaku. Maybe I'm saying that right. I don't care if I am or not. He is a scientist, and in 2017 on Good Morning America, he actually got on TV and admitted that they use weather modification technology by shooting laser beams into the sky and controlling lightning and rainstorms. And then he actually admitted that back in the 60s, in the Vietnam War, that they used weather modification to make the monsoon season longer. He actually admitted that the CIA used weather modification to make the monsoon season in Vietnam longer so that they could win the war. If you don't believe that, you can look up Operation Popeye. If you don't believe the guy actually said it, you can look up Dr. Miyake or whatever his name is, talking about weather modification. You can watch the video yourself. It was on Good Morning America or one of those shows on ABC. Regardless, he said it on live TV at one point, and no one batted an eye. And I don't know if anyone finds it odd that in the movie Back to the Future 2, they talked about controlling the weather, or basically the weather service is what the doc said in the movie, and that was supposed to be in 2015. And if we were able to control the weather in the 60s, what do you think the technology has advanced to by now? I mean, think about how your cell phone was in the 90s to where a cell phone is today. So, I mean, just in that short span of time, technology has changed. So can you think about from back in the 60s until now? What can they do to weather? And honestly, I don't understand how that storm could be moving at 13 miles per hour from where it popped off at Africa across the Atlantic at 13 miles an hour, and then randomly, as it went over the Bahamas, it literally just stopped. It went 1 mile an hour, guys. That's not normal. That's not normal at all. They were feeding it. Trump was talking about shooting a nuke into it, which is kind of weird, don't you think? They can control this stuff. Disney talked about it. There's an old video. I'll have to try and find it, but there's an old video where Disney talks about how they would be able to control hurricanes and weather. And I don't understand why you folks would. I don't understand why anybody would deny that. I mean, I guess it sounds crazy conspiracy theory. I get that, but at the same time, I mean, just think about it for a second. And then the question is, why would they do this? Well, why would they do this? Has anyone checked out the Georgia Guidestones? They want perpetual depopulation. I don't remember the amount of folks, but we have triple, even quadruple the amount of people that they want left on this earth. JFK talked about it, having weather manipulation and weather control. I mean, that was back in his time. So, I mean, if we could do that then, what can we do now? And then their reasoning and rationale behind it is global warming, is climate change, and they're blaming it on us, saying it's because we have gas-powered vehicles and we don't recycle and, just all the things like that. But the whole reason they're doing that is to make people want to give up their ability to drive, and so they can have more control over us, guys. But NASA, if you go on their website, they actually will tell you what are in chemtrails. There's barium and trimethyl aluminum, lithium. Guys, these are metals. Why are they spraying metals into the air and actually admitting that they're doing it? NASA, you can go to their actual website and look up chemtrails, and it will tell you they're spraying aluminum, lithium, bury them. So think about it. If they spray these into the sky, and then the chemtrails or the contrails that everyone thinks they are dissipate and spread out, what is it doing? It's making a big shield of metal. Well, what happens when you put the sun, if the sun sits on something metal, what does it do? It makes it hot, doesn't it? So that would make it understandable as to why it would be hotter down here, because we have a freaking giant shield of metal over the top of us where they spray us every day with chemicals and metal. And that explains why it would be hotter down here. It's not climate change. It's man-made climate change, and not our man-made. It's the government's man-made climate change. They're making it hotter. They're screwing with the weather. They're trying to play God. They're trying to have more power. They're trying to kill us. There's a million things that's trying to go on here, and I just need you guys to understand and look into this stuff for yourself. So Operation Popeye, it was about cloud seeding. It was about shooting stuff into the clouds to make the rain take place, which that Dr. Miyake, whatever, actually said that they shoot lasers into clouds to make it rain or make it lightning, which I don't understand why they would need that technology, to be honest, but they're doing it. And you can see here that this is how cloud seeding works. They actually admit it. If you look into weather modification, they actually admit it, and then they say that it's good for us. How is it good for us? What good is it? That doesn't make any sense. But if they can control the weather, they can control us, because they can make it rain more often, which when it rains, everyone's kind of down and out. They feel depressed. When they can control drought, so that means that we don't have a water source. We're unable to get water or grow crops, or, so we're literally going to be reliant on the government alone, because we're not going to be able to do our own things. We're not going to be able to grow our own crops. We're not going to be able to have a water source. So that's a big reason as to why they're doing this stuff, is manipulating and modifying our weather to kill us, to make us dependent, and, just a bunch of other things too. So I'll be another crazy conspiracy theorist and talk about HAARP. So HAARP is up in Alaska, and basically what it does is it shoots rays up into the ionosphere, which causes it to heat up, which causes them to be able to manipulate weather. It also causes like brain scatter, I guess, because there's a bunch of metals that they've sprayed up there anyway. So these electromagnetic type waves and rays that they're shooting just cause basically like a giant microwave, guys. They're microwaving us, and we're not stopping it. We're just bowing down and letting them do what they do. Just look into this stuff for yourselves, guys, and we really need to pray for those in the path of this storm. We need to pray for the guys in the Bahamas. I mean, it's incredibly devastating to see what happened to them, and we've got to put our foot down. We got to do something. Thanks for taking the time. Have a good one.